Sarah Campbell has more.
Has anybody else got anything to say about a lesson that they found particularly difficult?
Grading performance used to be the job of teachers, but increasingly they're the ones being marked. At this school in Reading, students take part in regular feedback sessions discussing members of staff and how they've conducted lessons. They're also consulted on big issues affecting the school.
Anybody can join in, so everybody, it's not just clever people, so everybody can have a go and everybody can have their say.
I had to interview my own head of year last year, which was pretty fun, and she said it was more nerve-wracking being interviewed by us than the head teacher.
All applicants to senior posts within this school will not only have to be interviewed by current staff, but pupils as well.
I actually found it probably the most challenging panel of the day.
Did you think it was appropriate that they would be asking you questions?
I did. I think ultimately, and without wanting to pay lip service, these are the people that you work with on the most regular basis within schools. And I think I've always felt with student voice that as long as it's genuinely representative of the student body as a whole, then certainly they have a very positive part to play in the running of the school.
In Victorian times, children were seen and not heard, but now the opposite's true, and that has led to some concern that the balance of power in classrooms has shifted too far from teacher to pupil. Schools across the UK are encouraged to take pupils' views into account, and there's a legal duty to do so in England and Wales. How they do that is largely up to schools, and the NSUWT argues that's left the system open to widespread abuse.
We have now nearly 300 cases of abuse of student voice. They include such cases as a teacher being asked to sing her favourite song at an interview. When she declined, she didn't get the job. We have a case of a teacher who was turned down for a job because the students felt he looked like Humpty Dumpty. What we have to have now is a clear professional line drawn in the sand of what's acceptable or not acceptable.
Strength of feeling amongst teachers is such that industrial action is being considered as a way to end what many see as an erosion of their professional dignity. Sarah Campbell, BBC News.
So that's the debate for the NASUWT here in Birmingham, but the other large teaching union, the NUT, is holding its annual conference in Liverpool, and there they're debating class sizes. The NUT wants to see class sizes of 20 by 2020. It was a Labour election pledge in 1997 to bring class sizes for 5 to 7-year-olds down to 30. That has happened, but the NUT now wants it to go further. In fact, it's carried out a survey of 700 of its members. It says 6 out of 10 want class cutting to be a priority for the new government. Now that will also be something that the education ministers will be looking very closely at. Here in Birmingham, we're expecting the education ministers for the 3 main political parties to make an appearance, beginning this afternoon with Michael Gove, the Tory Education Minister. So over the next few days we'll very much get a good idea about what the main political parties will be putting out on their general election manifestos.
All right, Alison, for now, thank you very much. Alison Hopper there in Birmingham. Let's return to pupil power itself, though, because Francis Gilbert is a teacher and author. He expressed concern that pupils were using this power as a way of blaming teachers for their own poor work.
I'm very wary about, pupils being given too much power. I mean, I think that effectively pupils are becoming spies for the government and spies for Ofsted in certain ways, because they're, using sort of Ofsted type forms, inspectorate type forms, and they're observing lessons, and they're actually making decisions about whether teachers should be recruited or not. And I think it's generating a real blame the teacher culture. So, if something's going wrong with a pupil's work, it's blame the teacher, you're not good enough, and I'm going to report you.
Francis Gilbert speaking to us a little earlier. Well, let's talk to Alison Green, a junior school teacher who went through an interview with pupils to get her current post. She joins us from Cambridge. Is that how you found it?
No, I was fully expecting an interview with the school council, and in fact I was asked to make a presentation to them on the day of my interview.
And what did they ask you, and how much sway did they have?
I believe they added their voice. Overall, the responsibility lay with the head and the governors of the school.
And in terms of the split, what do you think should it be, and what is the reality in terms of the responsibility for making that appointment?
We still use pupil voice for appointing teachers. The school council, who are elected from the 12 classes in the school, are given under the guidance of a teacher, the opportunity to write their own questions and to put them to candidates.
Okay, but in terms of the amount of influence they have in terms of the appointment of that teacher, how much do they have?
I wouldn't think they would be able to sway the balance of opinion from what the chair of governors and the head decided. But we feel that the children need the chance to help to choose their teachers. After all, the teachers are going to be with them for a considerable amount of their time in school.
Yeah, but do children have the experience and maturity to make a decision like that?
Well, in my interview, they were very perceptive and asked some really challenging questions.
Yeah, but you got the job, though.
I did, yes, but I wouldn't have blamed the children if I didn't.
What about those who don't get the job?
I wouldn't have blamed the children. I'd have blamed myself for my performance at the interview.
Right, it's just that we spoke to Andrew Elliott, who's chair of the English Secondary Students Association. He's 17, and he was saying to me a little earlier that in some cases pupils should actually have 50% of the decision here.
Maybe at secondary level, but we are talking 7 to 11-year-olds here, and we're giving them a chance to give their opinions and to make choices. We're preparing children to be citizens of the future, and if we can prepare them at junior level to take responsibility for their actions and to help choosing their teachers, then I think we're helping to prepare them to be citizens for the future.
With the greatest respect, I mean, you are a very bubbly, outward-going person on first impressions, and you know, children will obviously like somebody like you, somebody who's, say, a little bit more diffident, perhaps less outward-going, a little bit more reserved. I mean, how will they compete against somebody who's much more extrovert as a character?
If they're an experienced teacher, they should have no problem. As for a newly qualified teacher, these children are under the guidance of an adult, and I trust my colleagues, my colleague in charge, to temper the children if they're being over-exuberant or over-challenging.
So you don't think that in some cases it boils down to an X Factor talent show sort of parade of teachers trying to encourage pupils to vote for them?
Absolutely not. No, I had to teach that day. I had an interview with the chair of governors. I had an interview with the children. I was in school all day. Certainly it wasn't the most challenging part of the day.
Okay, Alison Green, thank you very much for talking to us this afternoon.
Thank you.
So, 18 minutes past 2, our headlines this afternoon. A senior figure in the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland says he is stunned by comments from the Archbishop of